All right, welcome. I'm Mark Stevenson, Business Unit Director of the Biomaterial Delivery Device Business Unit of Nordson Medical. So a little brief background of Nordson Medical, divided into three main functions. We have a design services arm that takes from concept through the product development cycle, leveraging our advanced components and unique technologies in the devices. And then finally, we have a full-service manufacturing arm, leveraging our global footprint in low-cost countries. And this is a snapshot of the different components and technologies that Nordson Medical offers. We are represented here with the biomaterial delivery devices, and many of these products have quick-turn prototyping, so a lot of these can be available to use right away in the design process. So Nordson Medical is truly a global company, strategically situated in different geographies where our customer is at. So the intention is to have a site as close to the customers as we can be. And so now I'll talk in more depth about the Biomaterial Delivery Device business unit. I'll give you a brief overview of who we are, kind of our history, what biomaterials do we work with. So what, biomaterials range can have a broad range. So what are the ones that we specialize in? Our value proposition, and then I'll spend most of the time talking about the different design considerations for selecting the proper biomaterial delivery device. So the business unit that is in Eagan, Minnesota was founded in 1982 as Micromedics in St. Paul, Eagan areas. And Micromedics really grew with the market growth of platelet-rich plasma therapy, and that is used in different types of surgeries to stop bleeding, promote healing, and uses the body's own blood, centrifuge down and grabbing the platelet-rich portion of the blood, combining that and creating a cascade of clotting to promote healing. So we created a suite of off-the-shelf products branded FiberJet, see it? And designed those for topical, laparoscopic. Some are manual sprays, some are gas-assisted, so CO2 gas-assisted. And we also have 510K and CE mark on our product. So that's one unique element to our business, is that we do own 510Ks and have finished devices that we sell directly to hospitals and through distributors. And in 2010, we were acquired by Nordson, being the first medical company that Nordson acquired. So today, we're a custom solutions medical device manufacturer specializing in the delivery of biomaterials. And we partner with biomaterial manufacturers primarily who work with fluid-like biomaterials. So flowable hemostats, two-part surgical sealants, hydrogels, and more recently we've been getting into bone graft delivery. So bone grafts are used in spinal fusion procedures to promote bone growth. And then also we're starting to venture into cell-based therapies. So precise delivery of cells, stem cells used in, for example, the spinal cord after an acute spinal cord injury to promote regeneration of the nerve cells. So our value proposition is that we're very niche, and we have an expertise in the precise and accurate delivery of 1- and 2-part biomaterials. We understand the fluid mechanics of different viscosities of fluids, and we have clinical application expertise with PRP, spinal fusions, general orthopedic. We have a suite of off-the-shelf 510K cleared medical devices, as well as a technical shelf of solutions that, technologies that don't yet have a solution, but we've developed over the years. We haven't commercialized them, but if the right opportunity comes along, they're available. And as far as our services, we really provide it from the beginning to the end, from concept generation and ideation, all the way through commercialization, as well as private labeling of our own proprietary products that our customers use for distribution, and engineering services like material characterization and things of that nature. So when you're talking to a company that might have a biomaterial, I'm going to walk through kind of the thought process or the way that we look at those different opportunities. And these are, many of the large OEMs have biomaterials that they use during surgery. So a lot of times there'll be hardware put in or some type of procedure done, and afterwards, before they sew or close up the patient, they'll put these biomaterials in to promote healing, prevent infection. and stop bleeding. And infection prevention is still a very large market and growing rapidly, and is something that, from a healthcare system standpoint, saves a lot of money. So most companies are, have either they distribute or they have their own materials that promote that. And the three areas are the clinical application, material characteristics, and then obviously the device and the regulatory pathway. So when we're approached with a new opportunity, the first thing we like to understand is what is the procedure. Is this we do this for a variety of reasons. Number one, you can try to understand, what is the value proposition they're trying to bring to the table. What's important to them. Is this a unique procedure? Is it a commoditized procedure? And it kind of gives us an idea of the scope of the project that they're looking for. So, for example, if someone comes to us with a very novel approach, then they're most likely be looking for something custom. And they might have the funds to support that. If it's more of a commoditized procedure, they're creating a Me Too product, then we try to have that focus in mind of, all right, this is going to need to be fast to market, lower cost, things of that nature. The target site, topical or laparoscopic, pretty straightforward with that. And then, are they looking to cover, a wide surface area, localized application of it? And so these are kind of, we try to put ourselves in the customer's shoes to say, all right, what is their end game in terms of this clinical application? The second thing is the biomaterial characteristics. So the easy one is, one or two part biomaterial. The second is, what is the viscosity? So a lot of companies have, you name it, there's that type of biomaterial. It can be as flowable as water. It can be as viscous as something like honey. And if you try to, for example, spray or push honey through a coffee straw that's 40 centimeters long and expect it to spray at the end, you're going to need, that's going to be a big consideration of, okay, it's not like spraying water. It's going to be a lot more difficult. The second thing is it flowable? And we run into this a lot with our bone grafts and bone cement. So the two pictures on the bottom here are two different types of bone grafts that are available today. One of them is a ceramic. It looks like sand. It's almost, when you zoom in, it's almost, porous and almost like coral structure. And those, they won't flow, right? They're not going to go through a smaller diameter. Those need to be extruded out with just like blunt force, really. Whereas you have other bone grafts that can easily come out of a syringe. And so as we're talking to them, these are the types of inputs that we try to gather to understand, where might that lead us in terms of what product to use. And then finally, the material interaction. So some materials have slight organic solvents in them, and they don't react with certain materials. And so we always ask, is there anything unique about the material that we need to take into consideration from a material standpoint? So the first thing, we try to take a very pragmatic approach in the business, and the first thing we ask is, can we use something off the shelf, right? And that can either be the direct solution or something that at least allows us to test a portion of what they're trying to do. And so that's always our first question, is what do we have off the shelf? And we have, over 40 SKUs of these types of products that can be tried and used in those initial testing. The second thing is dimensions. Overall length is pretty straightforward, but this kind of gets back to the input of the procedure. Are they trying to go through a trocar? So are there maximum diameter considerations that we need to take into account? Minimum diameter. So for example, that trying to push honey through a coffee straw 40 centimeters long. You might have a minimum diameter just to be able to get it down that needs to be taken into account. So we kind of try to put some boundaries around the dimensions of the product. And then, for some of these thicker materials, is mechanical advantage needed? So do we need to develop a hand trigger, a screw mechanism, something like that, to allow it to be usable in the OR? Packaging, sterile or bulk non-sterile. So many of our products are sent, directly to hospitals, so they're using the OR, so those are sterile. And some of our customers use our packaging or our products as a primary packaging container. So for example, our Osteo Express, this is the point of care version, which is sterile, but this can be pre-filled as well, so that becomes the packaging for that customer. And then is the tray a functional piece to the design? So in this case, the tray actually props the syringe up. There's a funnel. They can do all their prep work on the back table. They hydrate it, prep, and go. So we like to understand the process that they're going to be using in the OR to best design the product. And then finally, regulatory. So, you know, it's speed to market all the time. So we always try to find ways to either leverage existing 510K that we have, and so you can do that by, you know, keeping certain materials the same, you know, keeping intended use the same, and there's different strategies that you can use to you know, expedite the regulatory process as much as possible. And then you know, obviously, what class are we talking about? So, you know, we've had customers come to us and they want to take our device, combine it with their, you know, biologic. And when you do that, it becomes a class 3 device, right? So you've got a long regulatory pathway, and so we will often recommend, well, why don't you keep those separate, you know, leverage a 510K that we have, and then, you know, we can get you something in 9 to 12 months versus a 2 to 3 year process. So with that, a pretty quick presentation, but you know, we're ready to help. We have a full, you know, staff of engineers, myself, that are experts in this, and we interact with customers on a regular basis, and you know, enjoy trying to find solutions to these unique challenges. So you know, please feel free to reach out to us and use this as you see fit. So with that, that's my contact information, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah. Woo.